Hey everybody, this is Marcus. Let's talk about X-Men 97. Oh my gosh, this series is incredible. I've seen episode 1 and 2 and they are nothing short of phenomenal. It takes me back to my childhood of watching X-Men the animated series with my sister Candace, and we've always seen every Marvel Comics property, and because of series like this is the reason why I am a lifelong Marvel Comics fan. So it's just nothing but incredible, and this series is so great that even Rotten Tomatoes actually ranked it 100% in the tomato meter, and the audience score has 96 to 97%, and it's still a high positive too. So the percentage is really high, and the score on the website is received very positively. And so this is a great series, and again, there's so many Easter eggs and elements from the comic book lore that I'll break down because there's so many, and oh my gosh, this is so amazing. But every episode is going to air every Wednesday on Disney Plus, so make sure you guys check it out. And like I said, I've seen episodes 1 and 2, and they're amazing. If you're a fan of the original X-Men lineup from 1992, then you'll definitely love this for sure. It's actually for people of all ages too, especially for people who are coming into knowing about the X-Men, or people who are lifelong fans that have seen the animated series a long time ago. They'll definitely love it too. But it's for everyone of all ages, especially for the new era too. So, but I'm gonna break down every episode and talk about the comic book lore and what it's going to lead to. So I'm gonna break down every episode. So before I get started, thank you guys so much for your support. It really means a lot to me, and you guys mean so much to me. And for those who are new to my channel, make sure you like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications whenever I drop a video, and we're going to always keep this thing rolling, you guys. So let's get right to it. So 2 episodes. The first episode was To Me, My X-Men, and the second episode is Mutant Liberation Begins. So those title episodes are actually going back to the original quotes from the series and the comic books, especially the second episode of Mutant Liberation Begins, because that's actually a quote that came from Magneto when he said that to Senator Robert Kelly, and he was saying this before Robert Kelly became president of the United States. In the final episode of the first season of The Final Decision, Magneto was actually getting ready to take out Robert Kelly before the Horde of Sentinels came in and knocked out Magneto and kidnapped Robert Kelly to take him back to Boulevard Trask, who is the creator of the Sentinel program. So he also created Master Mold 2, who's actually the ultimate leader of the Sentinels. So we're gonna get right into the episode real quickly, and then we'll talk about that too though. So like I said, Boulevard Trask actually was the one that created the Sentinel program. He was partners with Henry Peter Gyrick, who works for the government, and it was Henry Peter Gyrick who took out Professor Xavier at the end of season 5 episode of Graduation Day, which was the final episode of X-Men the Animated Series. And this series of X-Men 97 actually takes place a year later, when Charles Xavier was supposedly died from the attack from Henry Gyrick. But you actually seen the final episode of Graduation Day of X-Men the Animated Series, you know that Lilandra actually saved Professor Xavier's life. Lilandra is actually from the Shi'ar Empire, and she's actually the lover of Professor Charles Xavier. And so the world believes that Xavier is dead, but the X-Men took him back after when he was attacked, and he was critically injured by Henry Gyrick's attack. Took him back to the Institute, and then the Lilandra came and saved his life apparently, but he was still critically wounded. So the world believed him to be dead, but they're still up in the air of whether Professor Xavier will come back. But I believe he'll definitely come back for sure. so it's only a matter of time. So, but basically, again, this episode takes place a year later, and then we see that humans and mutants relations have become more tensioned. So there's tension between mutants and humans now more than ever, and we actually get a chance to see Roberto da Costa, who's actually known as Sunspot in the comics. He joins the New Mutants in the comics. He actually studied under Professor Xavier, under Xavier's second team called the New Mutants, which of course had Cannonball, actually had Magic, who's also Ilyana Rasputin's sister, Ilyana Rasputin, also known as Magic. And then we had Magma, and then Doug Ramsey, who's known as Cypher, who joins the team later on. Then we have Wolfsbane, aka Renee Sinclair. So there's a lot of teams in the New Mutants that actually expanded, and they will actually go on in the comics to form the new X Factor too, though. So I'll get right into that shortly too, though. So, but anyway, Roberto da Costa actually stars in the first episode. He actually, basically, this episode is a callback to the Night of the Sentinels episode, where Jubilee first came and she was confronted with the X-Men. This episode actually plays homage to the first episode where Jubilee comes in Night of the Sentinels. So Roberto actually has a little bit of a fling with Jubilee. He's actually attracted to her, and she is too, given the fact that he comes from a rich family, from the Da Costa lineage of his family. So of course his abilities, he's actually able to absorb solar radiation and engulfs in his body, and he actually has super strength. So his power is really cool though. But what happened is that the X-Men saved them from the Friends of Humanity. They actually found out that there was Sentinel tech that the Friends of Humanity actually had and actually coerced with. And then they actually been able to find Boulevard Trash thanks to Jean's telepathic abilities to track him down. And of course in this series, Jean and Scott are about to have a baby, and then they're going to have a son named Nathan Summers, who grows up to become Cable in the future, and we'll get into that shortly too. But man, this episode is just so amazing. The 2 episodes, again, picks up where it left off for sure though. And so, also I want to point this out too. They actually did Cyclops so well, you guys. Oh my gosh. Like, the scene when they were actually on the Blackbird and he actually was falling from the sky and he used his optic blast to cushion his fall. That was amazing, guys. And on top of that, it brought back of how cool Cyclops actually is. And that was something that was actually missing in the previous X-Men films. And granted, James Marsden does a really great job of playing Cyclops Scott Summers, and the thing about it was his leadership wasn't on display, even though they were focusing on Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, which of course, granted, Hugh Jackman is awesome as Wolverine, especially with him playing Logan over the years, especially the 20 years he's been playing Wolverine, but it pretty much didn't highlight what Cyclops is actually about though. And so of course I have the first issue of Jim Lee's X-Men right here though, so you can actually see how Cyclops is just a really great leader, and on top of that, like, he has no quarter. Like, he's good at what he does too, and there's so much awesomeness and contained with one guy too. He's the leader of the X-Men, and he's one of the best tacticians, especially being able to use his surroundings and use his mathematicians, and he's actually good with geometry too, actually. So the way he actually handles his optic blast going from left and right is just amazing. So it's one of the words you can pretty much put into paper like that though. So, but yeah, this is actually one of my collections that I got from the Jim Lee comic collection of the first issue of X-Men. I got this from the comic book collection as well. There's actually so many references from the comics as well though. So, but on top of that, we actually do get to see Bishop as the full team leader. We see Bishop and Morph full-time on the team, and this is the first appearance of Bishop right here though, so it's really great. He's actually with his 2 squadron friends right here, and he's from the future as well, so obviously there's going to be more episodes with Bishop and time traveling as well, especially with where they're going, with what I believe that they're actually going to go though. So of course, these issues right here, including Executioner songs, that's actually one of the sagas from the X-Men as well. So of course the character Executioner appears in the second episode as well, though. So they're pulling all the elements from the comics as well. So especially with the second episode. So on top of that, when Storm loses her powers, that's actually going back to the storyline of Life Death, where she meets Forge. Of course, in the comics, Forge joins the X Factor, and on top of that, they're working for the government as well. So the same weapon that Forge created, Henry Gyrick actually used in the comics against Storm. It was actually one of the issues where it was the titled Rogue Public Enemy. And so when he actually used the weapons on Storm, she had no idea that the weapon that was created by Forge was responsible for her losing her powers. And so there was tension with that in the comics because they have a relationship, both Forge and Storm does. So I'm actually glad that they're going to put that in the episode. So it's really cool. But I also want to point this out too. This is X-Men, Pride of the X-Men. This was the first animated X-Men series that was created during that particular time as well, though. And so this was the pilot episode because they were going to do an X-Men animated series which came out in 1989. So this pretty much preceded everything as well. And it's really great to watch. It's also a classic. And because of this, we actually have the arcade game of Pride of the X-Men. Of course, the X-Men game that was made by Konami. And so because of that, especially with the pilot episode, we definitely have the arcade game as well, though. So yeah, this is part of my collection, and I watch this all the time too, though. It takes me back as well. So but yeah, like I was saying, guys, there's so many references from the comics in these episodes as well, though. And then of course we do see Magneto coming in. He's now the leader of the team. Of course, Scott and Jean were initially going to lead the team because they were going to have their baby boy Nathan. But with Magneto now showing up with the will of Charles Xavier, that he's going to take the realms of leadership with the X-Men. So the second episode, Mutant Liberation Begins, actually goes around into that. And then we do see Executioner uses the device to take away Storm's powers. And it's just, man, it's just drama and everything. And speaking of drama, I definitely want to point this out too, though. But the drama that I'm talking about, oh my gosh, Rogue and Magneto, oh my gosh, like seriously, guys. I got the issue right here where they actually do have a relationship. This is Uncanny X-Men issue 274. And they were in the Savage Land when this happened. So you can see Kazar and Nick Fury in the front cover. And then the reason why Magneto and Rogue were able to touch each other is because of the magnetic electrical spectrum that Magneto uses his powers to be able to touch Rogue. Of course, we know that Rogue's powers, she's able to absorb any information and any power that's given. And on top of that, she's one of the strongest members of the team anyway. So they did her really well. And of course, shout out to Lenore Zahn. She's awesome. And she recently liked my post too. So it's actually pretty cool. So I've met most of the X-Men cast, especially Cal Dodd. So I'm looking forward to meeting the rest of the X-Men cast to talk about this too, though. So Cal Dodd, of course, is the voice of Wolverine. And he's really good at that too, though. He's the definitive voice of Wolverine. Just like how Kevin Conroy is the definitive voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series, though. So, but yeah, going back to that, though, like, I'm curious because we do know that in X-Men Gold that came out in 2018, Gambit and Rogue actually got married because they've been in a relationship for so long. And here we are, the master of magnetism himself came along and took away the relationship, basically. So it just destroyed whatever relationship that Gambit had with Rogue. And Gambit was hurt too, though, like definitely dejected. So I'm curious how they're going to play this out, you guys. And then on top of that, at the end of the episode, we actually do see that, well, Nathan is born. And in the end of the episode, we actually see the twin clone of Jean Grey, who actually is Madeline Pryor. So more than anything, I'm looking forward to seeing how this episode is going to do because it's coming out tomorrow on Disney Plus. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then they're actually taking elements from the Inferno saga. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that, you guys. And of course, if you guys follow the comic book lore, that's exactly what happens because Mr. Sinister is going to come in this series as well. And he was the one that was responsible for cloning Jean Grey in the comics. And so the comics will happen, you guys know about the Phoenix Saga. So the Phoenix Saga is another saga in the X-Men lineup in the Marvel Universe. Jean Grey was supposedly dead, and she's been dead for a few years. But then, all of a sudden, when Scott and his brother Alex Summers, and his father Corsair, who was Christopher Summers, who's the leader of the Starjammers, they went to Alaska, and all of a sudden, they see a redheaded woman that looks exactly like Jean Grey, and it was Madeline Pryor. And so they fell in love. They have a kid named Nathan who actually goes by Cable in the future. And then eventually when Scott found out that Jean Grey was alive, what happened was the issues of the Uncanny X-Men and Avengers series and the Fantastic Four series, they actually go back and find Jean Grey's cocoon. And then they resurrected Jean Grey, and Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four, called the X-Men to find out, let them know that they actually found a redheaded mutant woman named Jean Grey. And so that's where the first issue of X Factor actually comes from. So other than that, this series is going to be so great, especially since they're taking elements from the comics as well, though. But man, so many twists and turns. So many elements, guys. I'm hyped, and I can't wait. I'm enjoying this so far. It's so good, you guys. Oh my gosh. It just takes me back to when I was a little kid watching X-Men the Animated Series and other Marvel Comics property around that time. So this is the reason why I'm so excited about Marvel Animation from Marvel Studios. And we're actually getting a chance to see the stuff that we grew up on over the years. So I'm looking forward to you guys. It's going to be amazing. So again, episode 3 is going to come out tomorrow. I'll review it and give you guys my synopsis and my take on it. And we're going to keep this thing rolling, you guys. But other than that, to me, my X-Men. Oh my gosh. I am so excited for this, you guys. It's going to be so great. So, but yeah. Other than that, though, you guys, that's episode 1 and episode 2. That's the episode breakdown that I'm going to do as far as like being able to talk about it and giving my nerd knowledge about it. That's practically it, though. So, but I'm excited for this, you guys. And I know Jake Castorona, who was the head writer of X-Men 97, he was interviewing with other YouTubers and talking about this as well. He was talking to Coy Jandreau of The Real Rejects, and they liked my post recently too. But Coy Jandreau was telling Jake about how they're taking elements from other comics and other series in the X-Men titles and how they're putting it in, and how the entity of the comics themselves are actually could be contained with either the adults or kids as well, though, because the medium always changes every time as far as like what they're actually catering to. Like X-Men the Animated Series, when it first came out in the 90s, it was on Fox Kids, so obviously it was for a children's program, but now it's all catering to every genre, whether if it's for adults or for kids as well, though. And that's definitely what X-Men 97 is all about, though. But I will say this too, because of the success of X-Men 97, there's also been talks in Marvel Studios about bringing back other Marvel animated content, like for example Spider-Man the Animated Series, where we can finally have a chance to see Peter Parker finish his story, pun intended, to finding Mary Jane and bringing her back, though. So like I said, this is a perfect time for sure. And then with Peter teaming up with Madam Web, then they can go straight to the multiverse, which is what the multiverse saga is all about right now in the MCU, by going to different locations and meeting different variants as well, though. And so with that going on, John Sifford Jr., who's the head writer, is definitely wants to focus on that too, though. He actually wants to get the okay from Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios as well, though. So like I said, with the success of X-Men 97, everything is possible at this point. So this is a great time for all the Marvel fans like myself to be on board and to check this out too, though. So, but it's going to be amazing, you guys. I'm looking forward to it all. And even bringing back some of the other Marvel animated projects that are actually on Disney Plus. You can go back and watch them because they were also part of the Marvel Action Hour as well, though. So, like I said, it's so great. And, of course, this is the reason why I became a Marvel Comics fan growing up as a little kid, because of storytelling, action-packed, and the drama that comes behind it. This is the reason why I love Marvel so much. It's because of the characters and the details. And you gotta think about this too. Your consumers are the fans. The fans are the ones that are buying your products. And it goes back to pleasing your fans and pleasing the people you're writing these stories to. Because if the fans don't like it, then there's no way that Marvel is going to be able to make any more money because of that, though. So they gotta make money despite themselves and be able to please the fans and the people who are buying it. Because again, your consumers are the fans, so you gotta give the people what they want. So, but other than that, though, guys, I'm excited. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the next episode, and I'm going to review episode 3, guys. So, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of X-Men 97, if you guys seen it yet, or if you guys have watched it, and what are your thoughts about it? Let me know in the comments down below. But I'm so excited for this series, you guys. It's great. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next episode is going to be about. Of course, the next episode is going to be called Fire Made Flesh, which is actually a quote from Jean Grey herself when she was possessed by the Phoenix Force. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Jean Grey and Madeline Pryor and how all this is going to come about, especially with the comic book world they're taking out from the Infernal Saga and everything else. So again, I'm excited for this, you guys. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. I love y'all. Be good to each other. Love each other. Excelsior. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.